Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has called on Nigerians to remain steadfast in hope and resilience in faith, assuring that with God's guidance, the country will overcome its challenges and rise to fulfill its destiny. The president made the call at the Sunday service to mark Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary. Samuel Odi reports for Global TV News.
The Sunday service to mark Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary at the National Christian Center was marked with prayers, thanksgiving and words of exaltation, which set the tone for nation's reflection and unity under God. The president, who was represented by President of Senate Godswill Akpabio, urged Nigerians to embrace unity, tolerance and collective responsibility in building a greater Nigeria.
Let us write not a story of weakness, but a story of strength. Not a story of quarrels, but that of courage. Not a story of division, but that of unity. We shall give our children not ashes, but great fire to continue to light the way for others to follow.
The national president of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, Bishop Francis Wale Oke, emphasized the role of righteousness, justice and fervent prayers in shaping the nation's future. He encouraged Nigerians to look beyond the trials of today and trust God for a new dawn of unity, peace, prosperity and progress.
Beginning from the head, those who lead, those who dictate the pace, those who craft the policies, those who make the laws, those who govern the people. Let the oil of unity flow from the head. Let's settle all agreements, or disagreement, or strife. Let's put vainglory aside and walk in humility.
The service, which drew dignitaries, top government officials, church leaders and citizens, including Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, who reminded Nigerians to thank the past heroes who fought to see that Nigeria gained independence.
Our spirit has never been broken. The Nigerian spirit has always been in the air. It is already at work. We salute our spirit of resilience, spirit of hope and
As Nigerians celebrate 65 years of independence, the call for unity, peace and faith has once again echoed across the nation. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
As Nigeria marks 65 years of independence, conversations are shifting beyond politics and the economy to culture and identity. On the Global Morning program, experts reflect on how much Nigerians have deviated from traditional values and norms. Ubon Usoro completes this report.
Speaking on the program, Adejoke Raji, a cultural advocate, stressed that while modernization and globalization have brought progress, they've also eroded aspects of the Nigeria's cultural fabric. She highlighted the need to revive values such as respect for elders, communal living, and indigenous languages.
If you are talking about identity, that's where cultural essence comes in. Who am I? What do I stand for? Where am I coming from? Who were my progenitor? How were they doing it? That was making life easy for them before the coming of the colonial master.
Rajiv further called for deliberate cultural education in schools and stronger use of media platforms to promote Nigeria's heritage. According to her, young people can embrace modernity without discarding the traditions that shape national identity.
My people, Nigeria, we want to look at it from the south, the west, the north, the east. They were people of pride. They took joy in their personality, in their individuality, in their communal living. And when we're talking about the communal living, that's actually what made us. That's what actually united us in anywhere we find ourselves.
The Global Morning Show discussion was part of Nigeria's 65th Independence Reflections, challenging citizens to look inward, celebrate progress, and confront the cultural gaps that could weaken national unity. Ubong Usoro for Global Television.
Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has described Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary as a milestone, noting that 65 years of national is not small feat. Uzodinma made this known at the Independent Church service at the Government House Chapel, Owerri. Our correspondent Marachi Ibe reports.
Governor Hope Uzodinma noted that despite challenges, the country has continued to stand united, adding that the anniversary is a time to reflect on Nigerians' journey, renewed hope, and strengthened commitment to national progress. He urged Nigerians to remain resilient, patriotic, and committed to building a greater nation, assuring that with collective effort, Nigerians' future remains bright.
65 years in the life of a man is not a joke. In Imo State, the government of Imo State has decided that where we are, a lot of things must change, particularly our way of doing things.
Uzodinma used the medium to inform Imola that President Bola Tinubu will be visiting the state on Tuesday, the 30th of this month, to commission key projects executed by his administration.
So I want to congratulate us and use this opportunity to inform you that the President of the country will be visiting Imo State on Tuesday. And while in Imo, he will be commissioning Owerri to Umar Health. He will also be commissioning the twin flyover at Asonta Roundabout. And he will also be commissioning Chief Emmanuel Iwayamu International Conference Center.
In his homily, Monsignor John Iwe congratulated Nigerians on the country's independence anniversary and stressed that for the nation to make real progress, the plight of the poor must never be ignored.
So far, 65 years, we are now elders, we are now senior citizens as of age. The rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. What do we do to bridge this situation, especially the critical situation of our country today? We can't neglect the poor, the needy, the outcast. We must have something to do with them, for them.
As Nigeria marks 65 years of independence, the message from both the governor and the clergy is clear. Unity, progress, and care for the poor remains the guiding path for the nation's future. From Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, reporting for Global TV News.
The Minister of the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture and Tourism, Hannatu Musa Musawa, has awarded scholarship to 42 students of the Yakubu Gowon University, Abuja, to mark the 45th World Tourism Day. The minister disclosed this while commemorating the United Nations 45th World Tourism Day at the China Cultural Center in Abuja. Topsy Gimba has details.
Delivering the keynote address on behalf of the minister, the Permanent Secretary Dr. Mukhtar Yawala Mohammed unveiled Nigeria's sustainable tourism transformation agenda, a bold four-pillar framework designed to translate Nigeria's cultural wealth and natural endowments into global opportunities. The Chairman Senate Committee on Tourism, Senator Pam Watkon Dachungyang, commended the ministry's vision and stressed the importance of community-based tourism, where revenues remain with host communities, empowering local people and preserving heritage. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television News.
It was a solemn moment as the Nigerian Police Force paid their final respects to the former Inspector General of the late Solomon Arase. The remains of the former Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, has been flown to Benin City, Edo State, ahead of his burial in his ancestral home. Kikelomo Okere has details.
Draped in the national colors and escorted with full police honors, the remains of the late Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, made their final journey out of Abuja. Tears, salutes, and silence followed the coffin as it was lifted aboard the aircraft that would return him to Benin City, the place he first called home, and now where he will be laid to rest. For men and women of the Nigerian Police Force, it was not just a farewell, but the end of era. Arase, who once led the force with a firm yet fatherly hand, is remembered for his reforms and his steady voice during turbulent times. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, described late IGP Arase as one of the finest police officers who ever served in the Nigerian Police Force. His distinguished career was defined by integrity, professionalism, and dedication to service.
His tenure was marked by profound policy and national reforms in the Nigerian Police Force that emphasized professionalism, discipline, and commitment to the respect for the rule of law. He believed that effective policing requires not just the strength of arms, but also the strength of character and compassion.
Other people who paid glowing tribute to the late IGP include former Commissioner of Police, FCT Police Command, CP Lawrence Alobi. He described the late Arase as a man with outstanding character.
A man who is accountable every 3 years. And also the purpose to become the Nigerian Police and Nigerian Police Force, and that is it. His policies today leave a legacy. And I want to thank the General Police for giving the honor to his late colleague.
This parade is not just a ceremony. It is the last salute to a man who devoted his entire life to public service. Dr. Arase's legacy is a reminder that every career and every tenure will one day come to an end, but true service will endure across generations. Solomon Arase's journey on earth may have ended, but his legacy within the rank of the Nigerian Police Force lives. Kikelomo Okere, Global Television News.
Drug abuse has become a growing concern in Nigeria, with Abuja not left out as many youths fall victim to dangerous trend. Despite efforts by government and health agencies to curb the menace, cases of addiction and its devastating impact on families, education and society continues to rise. Kabir Hassan was on the street of Abuja to hear what youths have to say.
Abuja and other parts of the country, drug abuse remain a silent crisis, eating deep into the lives of young people. On the streets, many say peer pressure, unemployment, frustration, and the search for temporary relief are among the leading causes of pushing many into substance abuse. Drug abuse actually affects your life in terms of business or something you want to achieve. It will be as a blockade to you because when you take it takes away your mind. Drug abuse makes you lose focus in life. Maybe you have plans or goals to achieve. Use of illicit drugs will make you not able to achieve them.
They just want to take something that will make them forget about their problems. That is why majority of them are taking things that will make them go out of their senses, that will so that they can forget their problems.
Others say beyond identifying the problem, Solution lies in stronger awareness campaign, proper rehabilitation centers, family support, and collective effort of the government and society.
Ban
all companies in Nigeria who produce them and ban imports from foreign countries. Stop selling them. It will be one of the ways to cut it out. Government should create awareness by organizing programs on the implication of drug abuse and show example of those who use of illicit drugs affects, and also parents should also train their children well. When asked for advice to drug abuse, many stated that those yet to be exposed to destructive paths. The advice is clear: drug abuse destroys potentials, dreams, and lives. Staying away is the only way forward. I will say a very capital no to everyone who wants to start drug abuse, because I know it's not good. Drug abuse remains one of the biggest challenges facing Nigerian youths today, but with the right choices and stronger societal action, the tide can be turned. Kabir Hassan reporting for Global CV News.
You're watching the live broadcast of the AM News on Global Television. The AM News returns after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back from that break. Now let's take you to the world of business, where the former lawmaker and constitutional lawyer, Senator Ita Enang, has commended President Bola Tinubu for initiating bold tax reforms aimed at boosting Nigeria's revenue base. Senator Enang, who represented Akwa Ibom Northeast in the Senate and also served as special advisor to the late President Muhammadu Buhari on National Assembly matters, made this known on Global Television's current affairs program Big Talk in Abuja. Our correspondent, Topsy Gimba, reports.
Speaking on the program, Senator Ita Enang described the tax reform drive as a foresighted initiative that's already yielding positive results for the nation's economy. He says the reform is a bold step and it is working to improve government revenue and fiscal stability.
Thanks to the ingenuity of the tax laws of the Tinubu administration. And there is a lot of competing, the non-oil revenue competes very seriously with the oil revenue and has exceeded the oil revenue.
The former presidential aide also expressed delight at appearing on the Global Television and across Nigerians to continue following the station's programs for credible information. Topsy Gimba, Global Television News.
Stakeholders in the Nigerian's oil and gas sector have called on the federal government to expand surveillance on the Trans-Niger pipeline, which has significantly reduced crude oil losses and boosted daily production. Global Television oil and gas correspondent reports.
According to the Nigerian Offspring Regulatory Commission, the reduction in crude oil losses has not only increased daily output but also spurred growth in the nation's gas reserves. At the monthly Pipeline Infrastructure Nigeria Limited Stakeholders Engagement Meeting in Port Harcourt, the company's operational record was hailed as a major contributor to rising government revenue from oil and gas. Stakeholders drawn from Abia, Bayelsa, Imo, and Rivers State emphasized that PNIL's role should be strengthened with more funding and an expanded mandate to cover gas infrastructure.
We have expanded our scope to cover the gas lines in the Eastern Corridor. That is the reason there is increased production of gas, and we are doing a lot to ensure that we maintain this in the interest of this country.
Engaging stakeholders to own the surveillance of the pipeline, also protecting the environment from the hazards that comes out from oil theft.
With stakeholders affirming confidence in PNL's capacity to protect vital infrastructure, the call now is for government intervention to expand its surveillance model to gas pipelines, ensuring the same level of accountability and security across the energy sector. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global Television News.
Gurasa is locally made bread in Arabian countries. In northern Nigeria, Kano State is known to be the home of gurasa, which are displayed on the streets and suya spots. In Dala community, locals confirm that many households are benefiting from the business, which is now apparently hereditary. Global TV correspondent Idris Jibril visited Data local government, where the amazing Arabian bread is a staple food.
For almost 40 years, Hajia Fatima Musa in Dala community is known to be in the business of gurasa bread. She inherited the trade from her mother and is now passing it to 3 of her female children.
Unfortunately, for now we are suffering because of the high cost of flour and other ingredients used in processing the gurasa. The flour we use this day is not good, and in most cases, we lost our entire money.
Gurasa, a locally made Arabian bread baked by housewives within this community and other areas in Kano State, is made from flour and baked in locally made pots known among the houses as tanderu. Initially, gurasa is only known to be a meal for the royals and elites. Over time, gurasa became food for all, and this is not unconnected with the stages followed in processing it. Depending on the sizes, quantity and taste, it's sold between 50 and 100 naira. Residents of Kano and other cities in northern Nigeria eat gurasa using roasted meat called suya or pepper soup and pounded groundnut cake mixed with vegetable oil, locally known as kuli kuli. Although gurasa is still being baked by many housewives and hawked on the streets, transported to neighboring states, production, however, have some challenges.
Honestly, before now we enjoyed Bua flour, but as of now, Bua has become something else. The flour is not good anymore, and we are reciting huge loss. Not for long, I lost 150,000 naira.
This area is called Chediar Gurasa, a name carved out of the fact that every house in this area is a small gurasa bakery. There are many residents benefiting from this trade, but the lack of support by the government to strengthen the industry is gradually reducing their production capacity. Hence the need for government to save this old long business by providing soft loans to the bakers. From Kano, Idris Jubrin reporting for Global Television News.
Now on the foreign scene, Hamas has issued what it calls a warning that the lives of 2 captives held in Gaza City are in danger as Israel tanks push deeper inside several neighborhoods of the besieged urban center, where tens of thousands of Palestinians are trapped by Israel's ground invasion and bombardment. The Qassam Brigades, the armed wing of the Palestinian group, said that contact has been lost with fighters holding Omri Miran and Matan Angrest after brutal military operations and violent targeting in the Sabra and Tal Ahawa neighborhood during the last 48 hours. Hamas released a farewell picture of a captive in Gaza this month in another attempt to stop the Israeli army as it systematically destroyed Gaza City and displaced hundreds of thousands of starving Palestinians once again. The United Nations has reactivated sanctions on Iran after European powers accused Tehran of escalating its nuclear program and halting inspection. The so-called snapback mechanism follows bombing of Iran nuclear sites in June by the US and Israel, raising fresh tensions around the defunct 2015 nuclear deal. Iran's president condemned the sanction as unfair, even as critics questioned whether they will meaningfully halt Tehran's nuclear advance. And now to the world of sport, where Nigeria's Golden Eaglets have reached the semi-finals of the WAFU B Under-17 tournament after a goalless draw with Burkina Faso in Yamoussoukro. The results ensure Manu Garba's boy top Group B on globe difference after earlier beating Benin Republic 4-1, setting up a semi-final clash with rivals Ghana. Despite missed chances, the team's defensive solidity and tactical discipline saw them advance with confidence into the knockout stage. Nigeria's Falconets have booked their spot in the round of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifiers with a 4-0 win over Rwanda in Ibadan, sealing a 5-0 aggregate triumph. The victory was described by pundits as a dominant performance that underlined Nigeria's pedigree at youth level. The Falconets will face either Senegal or Algeria in the next round as they continue their pursuit of another World Cup appearance. And that's it on the AF News. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us on all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Thanks for watching.
Nigeria at 65, a nation rich in culture, heritage, and resilience. From the banks of the River Niger to the hills of Jos, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the peaceful plains of Sokoto, Nigeria stands tall, united by hope, straightened by diversity. 65 years, the green and white flag rises high, a symbol of freedom, a promise of self-determination, a call to greatness.
Through trials and triumphs, challenges and changes, Nigeria remains unbroken. Her people, bold, brilliant, and brave, continue to rise, innovating, creating, and shaping the future. The journey has been perfect, but it has been powerful.
As we mark 65 years of independence, we remember the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future with hope. Together, we are stronger and united. Happy Independence, Nigeria! This message is brought to you by Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Hello and welcome to another beautiful day. This is the first working day of the week, and it's so good to have you join us on Global Morning today. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and I'm joined with my colleague right here. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning, Ramsey. I trust your weekend went beautifully.
Beautiful, even though we hardly have weekends. It was a beautiful weekend, but then the work continues.
Actually.
Whether you're at work, and that's one thing a lot of people don't know about the media. The work continues wherever you are, because the eye for the news is always there. So you are always filing in from wherever you are, you know. So the weekend was beautiful, but then work was still on, which is the best way to make the work get to the permanent side, of course.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. And of course, you see, I don't know, some people have the narrative that men work more than women.
You're a woman, you should attest to that. So, don't you think so?
Well, I don't want us to get into any gender bias right now.
No, it's not even gender bias.
But then, I think it's a matter of responsibility. If you have responsible women around you, you will know that nobody sleeps. If you have responsible men around you, you know that everybody's hands are always on deck. So it's a matter of having the right people around you. And most times when you don't have this kind of people around you, if you don't have responsible people around you, it tends to affect your perception of people and then gender in quotes. Yes.
Well, I think it's relative. For me, it's relative. Number one, it depends on the individual, because human beings are dynamic in nature.
Sure.
You know, what you feel is so much work for you, somebody may say, is this what he or she is calling so much work? So everyone, all hands on deck. The women are doing their part, the men are doing their part. Just that in this climb, there are some duties, some work that they said, this is a man's work. When a woman is doing it, the society frowns at it. So when the time for such work comes, you don't even wait for the woman to take the lead. You take the lead as a man.
And then their work to the designated to women. And when it comes, then that time comes, the woman does it.
So that's why I said it's relative. So also, it's both sides.
Also, times are changing, right?
Everybody is working. Everybody works.
Yeah.
Everybody works. It depends on what works for you. It depends on the capacity of every individual. It depends on the ability and what every individual can do per time. There are some areas that if a woman does some things, you'll be shocked because of their nature. A woman can be doing like 2-3 things at a time. Her ears is here, her eyes are here, you know. That's a gift from the women. Like men, a man can concentrate on a particular thing and do it and follow it to the latter and make sure it's properly done. But the woman, the baby is crying, the food is burning in the kitchen, you know, the other kids are scattering something, so she's all everywhere. So it's relative. Everyone is actually doing their part, playing their part to make sure things work. All right, let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return and Global Morning continues. Well, so many things unfolding over the weekend, especially the strike action by Pengassen. This is an issue that's been lingering for a very long time, the issue between Dangote and, of course, Pengassen. And Pengassen have come out to say, well, this has to stop. Dangote refinery, you got to stop this. And that is the sack of their members, all right? That is people working with Dangote refinery because they identified with the association, probably because it is contrary to their agreement, as the case may be. And Pengasyn have said, well, we are cutting out the supply of oil and gas to Dangote refinery immediately. And of course, Pengasyn also said, we are going on strike. The issue between Dangote refinery, let's say just Dangote refinery, and Pengasyn, Nopeng, and Tankers Association of Nigeria and the rest, it has lingered enough. You know, when Dangote refinery came, a lot of people had a sigh of relief, you know, that, well, now we have come. And somebody wrote something on social media, I saw it on the internet, when the person was saying, this is the same thing that was done to our refineries, that we don't have any functional refinery till today, that it is still the same people that killed the refinery that are now fighting Dangote. The person didn't even mention the association. The person didn't talk about Pengasyn and Nopeng. The person said the fight is not just Nopeng and Pengasyn, that is beyond Pengasyn, as the case may be. That is the person's perception anyway. But as it is right now, at Dangote refinery, whether we like it or not, some Nigerians believe that it has brought some kind of ease. As it has to do with the scarcity, fuel scarcity, marketers having the upper hand to say, well, we will not supply, this filling station will be selling, the other one will not sell, because they want to do artificial scarcity and all of that. But all of that we didn't see in the last few months. But now, the fight between Dangote and other actors in the industry is going beyond what Nigerians expect. If anything happens now to Dangote refinery, whether we like it or not, it may affect the average Nigerians. Like the strike action, right? Pengasyn going on strike. It's at the end of the day, the average Nigerians are the ones that will be affected. And now, first of all, remember, it was when he said his drivers will not be part of the Tankers Association, and they wanted going on strike. Then the federal government intervened, and that issue was settled. Now, it is the sack of their members for registering with, for identifying with Pengasyn. As it is right now, what do you think about this whole scenario? Because for me, I think it is a setback.
Of course, it is. It's a setback. The problem would always keep clamoring about in this country is the problem of leadership. Why do we have a Dangote and a Pengasyn at rivalry? Dangote has come to, and if Pengasyn is a private institution as far as we're concerned, and if he has his terms, the best Pengasyn can do at this point is to rub minds, is to just look for a compromise. Both of them looking for a compromise, because at the end of the day, Pengasyn workers or Pengasyn workers have families. You know, they have some extended family that would depend on this oil. Every single one of us, as far as we're concerned, would depend on, you know, this crude. So Dangote has come to relieve us. I mean, we have not experienced scarcity of fuel for the longest. It used to be, it was never really like this. You know, before the whole Dangote thing came into existence, like you said, it brought a lot of relief. Before now, we'd have scarcity from now, you know, from time to time and all of that. But this is not an issue of debate, if you ask me. Whatever it, I think at this point, the president just needs to just come into this matter, because it has lingered for so long. And whatever affects crude, whatever affects fuel in this country, affects even the commonest man out there in the street. So we will see, you know, we will see our president coming into situations. Just some months ago, we had the rivers crisis that did not even warrant such a situation. Then we'll see issues that really need his attention, and we don't hear from him. We just see absolute silence from that angle. I mean, at this point, this should not be. When the whole thing started, you know, at first, and the whole threats and the whole drama here, back and forth, and then there was some sort of peace. Everybody had some kind of relief. I think I was relieved at that point, and then coming to see this.
Every Nigerian.
Yes. So if Dangote says, okay, if you want to work with me, it's on my terms. I mean, he's a private firm. As far as we are concerned, the best Pengassin can do, or the best Nupen can do, is to liaise with him. Is to just come to a compromise and see that things work, because we need to make the country work.
That's it. I think that's it. We need to make the country work. It is our country.
Yes.
And it is still the same Nigerians that will make the country work.
Exactly.
I think where the problem is coming from, like you said, is agreement. Just agreeing, okay, these are the terms. All right, we can't go with this term. Can we change it? Can we make it like this? The management of the refinery are saying what Pengassin is doing is lawless. And some persons are saying too much power has been given to these associations.
Is it Dangote or the association?
The association, okay. Because Pengassin has been there for a very long time.
What is Pengassin even doing for us? What did they do for us?
Like the last time, Pengassin had an international press briefing where they were talking about the sale of PIA, you know, and of course that there is a plan, okay, to sell our stake, Nigeria's stake in the oil sector, which means the Nigerian people will not have these natural resources to themselves anymore. And they put out a press release to say, well, we are not, I'm talking about Pengassin now, we are not going to accept that. And if I could remember, Osifo particularly said, this is not just because of the oil staff which they represent, okay, but then because of Nigerians, that's the petrol, the crude oil is the only one of the major natural resources that Nigeria has. And if it is being sold out, we won't have anything. And what are we leaving for our the other generations to come? That this thing was there before we came, before the administration came. Why sell it? They also talked about the fact that the Ministry of Petroleum is about to be shifted. They are about to be stripped. All right, that oil and gas will no longer be under the Ministry of Petroleum, that it will now be under the Ministry of Finance, that there is a plan, and they also kicked against it too in that press briefing. So now, one of the things that Pengassin does is to protect the interests of the oil workers, you know, and sometimes Nigerians. But then, the strike action now...
And sometimes Nigeria.
Yes.
Because most of the times we're not the center of attraction. It's more of the workers.
The workers.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes Nigerians, but then...
They claim.
You're calling it a claim. But then the truth is this, some of these unions, some of the things that they fight for is for the benefit of both the workers and of course Nigerians sometimes, like you said. But the bottom line is this: if they are really fighting for Nigerians, then instead of striking, there is need for negotiation. There is need for peace talks. If Nigeria is being put, if the Nigerians, the average Nigerians are being put at the center, okay, of the whole issue, then Nigerians should also be given the consideration of averting the strike. Okay, let the gas flow. Gas is still expensive. How much is a kg of gas?
Even the CNG option that people were going for, you know, as against the normal petrol, right now it's becoming scarce.
It's not been available anytime. It's not been available. There is this place that anytime I'm passing that area, very close to Dunamis Church Glory Dome along Airport Road, you see the queue. That's CNG spot. You see the queue. You'll be wondering, will these people ever leave this place? And so you see some sleeping in their cars.
Yes, I've seen that too.
They park, you know, right from that filling station down to the church, to that field, you see them park the queue. It's not even a straight queue. They have
to go through a curve.
Through a curve.
It's becoming scarce. For me, I would say the Dangote issue. Dangote is he's an important figure in Nigeria, whether we take it or not. And I think it's the right time for the president to step into this matter, because
I think the federal government will definitely step into it. I think
this matter, because Dangote is not. He's a prominent figure. He is a lifeline. I will put it that way now in this country. Yes, he is a strong lifeline. So the matter is escalated right now, and it needs some higher authorities to settle it.
To really intervene.
Yes.
There is need for intervention. That's what it means right now.
Yes.
So the federal government, you need to intervene so that this matter can be put to rest once and for all. But then the bottom line is this. I think what should happen is the federal government that intervenes the first time should still intervene. Dangote is a businessman. You know how much loan was taken in dollars to build that refinery, and this money needs to be paid back. Because he can fight before he can finally settle and say, all right, now it's time to make profit.
Yes.
Now it's time to let go of this and that for the Nigerian people.
Yes.
But the first priority for him now, probably as a businessman, is how to pay back the loan that has been taken. There might be a stipulated time for the repayment of this loan, and with all of these distractions, I call it distraction as a matter of fact, because it wasn't really planned for. These are unforeseen circumstances. If not until it's been dealt with, I don't think he will settle down to see how he can pay off this. And I think the Dangote refinery should be a lesson for Nigerians and the federal government. This is a pointer that it is possible for our own refineries to also work.
Yes.
If not,
Dangote, that's what they should
can be consulted.
They should focus on Dangote. They should focus on how to make the local refinery,
so that they can have competition.
Exactly. But the guy is trying to do his thing, and all of a sudden they remember that there's something good in Nigeria.
That's it. Well, I think it's high time the federal government do the needful so that we can get settled and, of course, focus on the needs of Nigerians. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return and we'll look at the pages of the national dailies. Stay with us. Welcome back from that break. Let's quickly look at the national dailies and see what the papers are saying, beginning from the Nigerian Tribune. On the Nigerian Tribune this morning, we have a lot of headlines, beginning from the top left corner. The federal government summons Pengassin Dangote to reconciliation meeting. Oh. That's exactly what we want. As TUC mobilizes affiliates for nationwide action. All right, that's the writer to that story. Dangote Refinery, lawless Pengassin, its lies and terror tactics. Okay. Then now this one says Nigeria faces reduced number of bank as measures, acquisition pressure intensifies. Details on page 7. And the earlier arrest 2 drug kingpins with consignments of cocaine, heroin met in Lagos. Over 90% of Nigerians still uninsured despite NHIA Act. Falana is the one saying that. The security operatives rescue 8 kidnapped victims in Kogi State. Obaladoja unfolds economic plan for Ibadan land. Some writers to that story. Assures local foreign investors of enabling environment. It says Ibadan abhors religious crisis. Let this coronation be the beginning of a new reasons for Ibadan. All right, this is attributed to Awolowo Dosumu. Okay, now the big story on the Nigerian Tribune says federal government has paid Osun State's local government allocation into APC members' accounts. Noga reviews. Why that? Why is that? Why would the federal government pay a local government allocation to a personal account? This is strange. All right, some writers to that story describes action as bizarre, scary, unprecedented. APC slams Noga says allocation were paid into local government council's accounts. PDP challenges APC to disclose accounts into which local government allocations were paid. This is not a good one at all. I think it should be looked into, not because of the game players, but because of the people of Osun State and the people of that local government. Now, let's move from Nigeria Tribune and go to the Daily Trust to see what headlines we have.
Okay, so on the Daily Trust, the very first story there, just below the nameplate says, $10 to Umar Sani, your claims on subsidy false. Zenon took nothing from federal government. You want to see details on page 52 of that paper. Takes us to the big story here that is on Dangote Pengassin feud. Nigerians oppose service disruption. Of course, they say when 2 elephants fight, the grass suffers. So I'm happy that Nigerians are already talking about this. The very next story there, gunman kills 12 in fresh Kwara attack. Sad one there. Read up details on page 12 of that paper. Pencom raises PFA's capital to 20 billion naira. Details on page 11. Page 15, I beg your pardon, of that story. The very next story there is on 2027, and it says Jonathan will contest return to Villa, and that is from Ghana. Interesting times ahead. I'm going to read up details on page 19 of that story. I think finally we have federal government orders counter claims of Christians persecution in Nigeria. That is on page 12 of that paper. There's a picture story there, and it's the forum of the former deputy governors of Nigeria, and he held their 3rd joint board of Trustees National Executive Committee meeting in Abuja on 24th September 2025. You want to read up details of all of the stories by getting yourself a copy of the Daily Trust. And let's go now to the next paper, which is The Punch, and we'll have Ramsey take us through that.
On the Punch newspaper this morning, we have some major headlines. Christians not endangered or marginalized. Federal government tackles critics. Page 7 is where you get that detail. Adamawa ADC gives Atiku ultimatum to pick membership card. Right. He said he's not in PDP anymore and he doesn't have the card of ADC. Well, no wonder ADC gave an ultimatum. They said, if you are in our party, let us know that you are in our party so that we know who is who. But if you say you are in ADC, flaunting yourself as a member of the ADC, and you're not a card-carrying member, you are not a member yet. So this morning they are coming to open up to say, well, Your Excellency Atiku, you need to pick up the membership card of ADC so that we can know you are now a member.
Well, this is really funny. How do you guys come together, form a party, or take over a party, and then you're not a card-holding member? I think it's high time INEC begins to penetrate parties. We cannot just wait for elections for parties to, because
but the individuals have their rights to belong to any party.
Of course, but you need to belong to before you guys come together to hold a meeting. We need to be sure that you are members of this party, because at the end of the day, it looks like some kind of we have sabotages there, and this also would affect unity of Nigeria, because when a party member, or when somebody comes to pose as a party member and giving some tribe, we have the tribal thing in this part of the world, and it's real. You come and give others the impression that you are in a particular party, before you know it starts, you start creating some kind of enmity between people. Whether we like it or not, it can exist. So it is important for the rules, the guiding rules for parties to be made clear and to be transparent, and to we shouldn't give room for all this corniness. It is corny.
Well, not only Atiku, I think even Peter Obi too.
Whoever
but
is.
Then I think what they are doing right now, if not until they get the membership card, they are not members yet.
Exactly.
And ADC is now saying, we want to know who our members are. How do you do that? By picking the membership card. Let's keep our fingers crossed and see what will happen at the end of the day. Back to the papers. Let's see what the papers are saying this morning. This one says, Otedola to Umar Sani, your ignorance on subsidy claims is alarming. Some riders to that story, and the first rider says, a call on federal government to release AIG Imokade's report. Islam 1 billion naira label suit against ex-president's aide. It says Zenon only imported diesel without subsidy. Insist he raised the alarm that led to Pro. Alright, you can pick a copy of the Punch newspaper to get all of those details. Petrol exports hit 371 billion naira amid heavy imports reliance. Pro-Wike lawmakers absent at Fubara's Independence Thanksgiving. He was also absent during Iba's Thanksgiving. Alright, politics. Osun PDP APC clash as federal government releases local government allocation. Police rescue trafficked Ghanaian, arrest 5 in Ogun State. 2027. NGE warns politicians against personal attacks. Alright, big story now on the Punch says marketers fear fuel price hike as Pengasin strike begin. Thank God the federal government is stepping in. Oil Union, that's the rider now. Oil Union's order shutdown of power plants alleges military fuel crude supply stoppage. Second rider says TUC threatens strike. Members on standby. Federal government intervenes to meet Pengasins today. Those are the headlines from the Punch newspaper as Priscilla take us through the next paper, which is the Vanguard.
Okay, on the Vanguard paper, just above the nameplate, we have the very first story, and that is on INEC. Discloses details of selection process for Yakubu's successor, Serap. Okay, disclose details of selection process for Yakubu's successor, Serap, asks Tinubu, and that is coming from Serap. Okay, Let's see how that plays out. You want to read up details on page 10 for that very story. The next one says Jonathan will contest return to Aso Rock in 2027 on PDP ticket. That is coming from Jericho now. Interesting times ahead indeed. That very story is on page 13. Read up for more details. The next story, Nigeria suffering, leading at 65 from Raf Obioha. For that very story has its details on page 14. And that takes us next to the big story. And it is on toxic harvest, hazardous pesticides harm food production exports, and that's coming from experts. There are some writers to that. You want to read up details on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. Next story, no genocide against Christians in Nigeria, and that is coming from the federal government. I don't know where we get our statistics from. So people just come out to lie or what? How do we, where is the humanity, where is the empathy? How do you come up, what's your proof? What is the proof? Like, why would you just come out to make a statement without some kind of proof? People that say, okay, I have, witnessed this in my environment, what does this make them? Liars? Why would someone come out to make such a claim? And even if someone comes out to say such, it needs to be investigated to be sure that that person is lying. So I don't understand this. In my opinion, this doesn't show any sign of empathy coming from the federal government.
Well, I think there are undertones to some of these statements. I feel what should be done, it's something that anyone can research. Go do your research. If you are in doubt of what the federal government is saying, go to the field, do your research, come out with a counter opinion. Are we supposed to go do our research? Are we not supposed to be presented with evidence? No, the only evidence ends argument. So the only way anyone can counter any statement is by coming out with proofs, with evidences that goes beyond every reasonable doubt. People surrender to evidences when they know that, well, this is a beautiful one and all of that. The federal government may have their reasons for saying that, but then these are some of the things that are glaring. So so it's not even something to hide. So it is not something to even debate about. Go out there, bring out the statistics, bring out the victims, and all of that. I think it is both sides. We've heard of people from the other religion. I think, was it just within the weekend also, we had an attack. People were attacked in a mosque, and churches being burnt down in several places in Nigeria, and all of these things put together, the bottom line is that it doesn't put Nigeria on a good light, on the globe. So I think what we should be doing is how we can put an end to all of this crisis.
Well, we do hope all of this comes to an end in no time. Let's go to the next story, which is another big story. It says, "At strike begins today. Federal government wades into Dangote Pengassin face-off." Why do we always have to wait till it gets worse? Why do we not have preventive measures in this country? I'll ask over and over again. I want to read up the details on page 5 of the Vanguard paper. There are two writers to that story. The very first one, Dangote blasts Pengassin. And secondly, only recall of members can stop strike. That's coming from Pengassin. So you guys want this man to have
the people that were sacked should be recalled back.
Why do we have to get to this point? The guy said, this is my condition. You said he cannot work. He sacked your people. You're saying he has to recall them. Does it even make any sense?
The issue now is, okay, have there been warnings? Because before you sack anyone, there should be warning.
Exactly.
That's why there is something like warning strike. There is something like query before dismissal.
He gave his conditions from onset. I think that was the first thing that caused the whole drama. He gave his conditions, and they said vehemently, no, he cannot work.
No, the issue now is if they come to the dialogue table and they come to terms and the people are recalled back with conditions instead of just sacking them. There is no job in the country, so for someone
job is so important to you, they want to live by my terms.
No, if
well, like you said, dialogue is the way forward.
Dialogue is just the way forward, but then it's not good for these are parents, you know, as the case may be. Some of them could be parents, and you know what it means to be a parent, and someone is being, though they can get another job somewhere with time, because any employer that asks people away, you know, definitely it's either you're pushing them off the ladder to get something better, or they will take a longer time, some time, to get whatever they want to get. But it is all about dialogue. Okay, if it is as a result of inefficiency or redundancy, it's understood. But this is a union matter. So dialogue is still the key.
And
for me, that's what I feel.
Some of them do not even agree with Pengassin, but they are just workers of Pengassin at the end of the day. Okay, that would be, well, is that all? Let's just read up through quickly on the very next stories. And editors to security agencies, stop misusing Cybercrime Act against journalists. Okay, this is bordering and concerning us. Okay, the next story, you want to read up that detail on page 8. Next story, Customs commences one-on-one cargo clearance, and that is on page 9. And finally, we have a Ponzi. SEC raises alarm over AI-generated investment scams. Please do not fall into any scam. Read up details, read up all of these details to get yourself abreast or keep yourself informed with what is happening today. That will take us to the next story. Do we have the time for that?
Well, I think this is going to be the size of the newspaper review. You can pick a copy of any of these papers that interest you. And we want you to know that Global Television does not contribute to the headlines. It is the work of the various editors of the various newspaper houses. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, Ogochukwu Mopuno will return with Social Boss. Stay with us.
Nigeria at 65, a nation rich in culture, heritage, and resilience. From the banks of the River Niger to the hills of Jos, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the peaceful plains of Sokoto, Nigeria stands tall, united by hope, straightened by diversity. 65 years, the green and white flag rises high, a symbol of freedom, a promise of self-determination, a call to greatness.
Through trials and triumphs, challenges and changes, Nigeria remains unbroken. Her people, bold, brilliant, and brave, continue to rise, innovating, creating, and shaping the future. The journey has been perfect, but it has been powerful.
As we mark 65 years of independence, we remember the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future with hope. Together, we are stronger and united. Happy Independence, Nigeria! This message is brought to you by Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Good morning, the Global Morning crew, and good morning to you, my viewers. I am August Kumobner. It's another day to look at what's buzzing on the internet. It's been a long weekend. A lot has been happening on the internet throughout this weekend, and we are here to at least share a highlight of some of the things happening on social media. So today we'll be talking about Reno Omokri versus Peter Obi. What exactly has happened again? We all know Reno for always clamping on Peter Obi, whatever it is he says. So Reno Omokri is trending on social media because of his reaction to His Excellency Peter Obi's tweet on X congratulating the new Olubadan. His Excellency Peter Obi tweeted on Friday to congratulate the Olubadan, and the tweet reads, "Congratulations to Oba Rashidi Adewolu Lodoja Arusa 1. I warmly congratulate my dear brother Oba Rashidi Adewolu Lodoja Arusa 1 on his installation as the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land. His ascension to this reverend throne is a celebration for the people of Ibadan and a source of pride for the entire Yoruba nation and Nigeria as a whole." He went further to say the enthronement of Oba Ladoja, a distinguished statesman with a vast experience in business, politics, and governance, symbolizes the enduring harmony between tradition and modernity in our society. Well, I don't think Reno actually found this funny when he said that. Excuse me, we'll be going on a short break. When we return, we'll fill you in.
Nigeria at 65, a nation rich in culture, heritage, and resilience. From the banks of the River Niger to the hills of Jos, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the peaceful plains of Sokoto, Nigeria stands tall, united by hope, straightened by diversity. 65 years, the green and white flag rises high, a symbol of freedom, a promise of self-determination, a call to greatness.
Through trials and triumphs, challenges
to the future with hope. Together, we are stronger and united. Happy Independence, Nigeria! This message is brought to you by Global Television.
So that was Peter Obi's tweet. Just before we went on that quick break, I had to read that Peter Obi's tweets, like summarize it for you, wishing the new Olubadan, congratulating him on his installment as the, the Oba of Ibadan. But then Reno didn't find that tweet funny. So Reno went ahead to retweet or tweet against whatever it is Peter Obi actually tweeted, and he said, "The Olubadan is a first-class king and deserves honorable treatment from Nigerians. He is a warrior king and Kabiyesi, one who cannot be questioned. Can you, Peter Obi, refer to an emir as my dear brother?" So now this is where Reno has a problem. So he referred the Oba as my dear brother. He said, "Of course not. What you cannot do with an emir, please do not try it with Olubadan. Do you now see why you are not a fit and proper person to be Nigeria's president? You are a low-cultured individual who lacks class and diplomacy. You are not polished. The only thing you respect is money. You are a trader, not a leader. A person like you is more situated to man a stall at Onitsha Market than be the man at Aso Rock. Okay, I must tell you that the weekend has really been, I told you earlier that it has been a long weekend. This Reno and Peter Obi, as a lot of people didn't find it funny when he said things like this. You can't be the one to say who is fit to be president. You are not in any place to say that, Reno. You know, a lot of people said a lot of things. So we're just going to be taking a few comments from the comment section, and the first comment is coming from Chu6, and Chu6 says, I'm sure Reno turn notification for all Peter Obi's social media accounts. Once Obi posts or tweets, Reno don't get work with that. Obi's social media account is basically his full-time job. The next comment is coming from Dubemo42, and Dubemo says, Dear Reno, Obi and His Majesty were governor at the same time, also very close at the time. Do your check well. Using their brother shouldn't be your problems. Focus on how to pay your children's fee. The third comment is coming from Ken Rose, and Ken Rose says, there was nowhere that statement from Obi was anyway disrespectful. P.O. congratulates Oba, no na problem. P.O. no congratulate Oba, na problem. If Oba no be him brother, na him enemy he won't be. People forget that P.O. went to pay homage to the same Oba weeks ago, even ahead of his coronation. At Reno Omokri, you need go get yourself some work to do. You are too old for this. So I must say, if we keep reading comments, I just want to let you know that a lot of comments didn't really support what Reno did. You know, coming out to bash Peter Obi that way. And even if he really actually read that message very well on X, you will find out that Peter Obi, at first in the headline, it states, congratulations to the Oba of Olubadan, Oba of Benin, and all of that. He didn't just go straight into saying, my dear brother. He actually, you know, gave him that respect and the title first. So, but, you know, recently we've actually been seeing back and forth, especially from Reno's end. And it's really shocking how he has to dwell so much on Peter Obi, and this is the reason why we actually want to talk about it. Well, I'm not alone today. In the studio I have with me Priscilla Obasi. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning, Ogochukwu. So good to see you. You look good, by the way.
Thank you so much, and you too.
Thank you.
So, Priscilla, you've actually followed this story, and I don't know if you actually came across it during your stay at home this weekend, and I don't know if you actually saw this, but it's everywhere. In fact, Peter Obi actually had to retweet to say he meant no harm, and his message was just congratulating a friend, a long-time friend that he actually considered a brother. And if we actually notice Peter Obi, most of his posts, he uses my brother, my dear brother, my dear sister, and all of that. I think it's something he's used to, and just, you know, extend this hand of siblingship or brothership anywhere he goes. So what do you think about this post and that of
Well, I think everyone has to learn from this very situation. Reno has to learn from it, Peter Obi has to learn, and even we observers have to learn. And for Reno Omokri, Reno has been, you know, known for controversy, and concerning, he always brings his controversy towards Peter Obi. Peter Obi is like, let's call him his target, you know, in his controversy. There are situations that will look at the intent of the heart. I think he comes for his approach, or his approach to this very situation just shows how he has perceived Peter Obi for a very long time. You know, his relationship to Peter Obi are not really on the good side. So it is obviously showing in this very his backlash, or his response to Peter Obi's tweet. It's when we make comments, when we come out to speak, I think the first things that should be perceived, if we are good humans, is our intent. When we communicate, what was I intending to say? I will look at the intent, you know, beyond every word we have said. The intent of our hearts should actually matter. So Reno Omokri has not seen the intent, or he's refusing. I think he is blatantly refusing to see the intent of Peter Obi, you know, in this message, or his congratulatory message, and that is not a good one. No matter what, you cannot come correcting someone for showing love, for saying thank you, for saying congratulations. I mean, I could have kept quiet. For me to go out of my way to say, and this same Peter Obi was there, you know, he was physically, if I example, yes. So physically there on that occasion to say congratulations. Was Reno Omokri there? Someone left his comfort zone and comes out to congratulate you in words and in deeds, and the only thing you can pick out is culture. I mean, it's not a good one. So it's obviously wrong by all standards, if I'll say that. And then on Peter Obi, I think his position in society, and yes, as a leader, it's important to be diplomatic, yes, be sensitive. It's clearly him showing the Igbo culture. You know, the Igbo culture is quite different from the Yoruba culture in a lot of ways. Yoruba people regard respect so much. The way they see respect is quite different from how the Igbo people see respect. You know, Peter Obi just showcases his own culture and all of this. To him, it didn't really mean anything, but as a leader, it's important to understand, you know, the differences and our cultural, in this context, cultural differences. And to us, you know, out there, people like me and you, it just shows that people actually observe. You need to be extra careful with whatever you say. Read between the lines, especially if you are in such position. If you are a leader, read between the lines before you communicate. Sometimes you might need to proofread, you know, you might need to pass it to somebody. If you have, you might need to have, you know, a PRO, public relations, a second eye to look at things for you, depending on the position you occupy. Because, I mean, people are not smiling. Things that you would never read meaning to are what people will look at and read every minute. I'm sure Peter Obi would have been shocked to see the response that comes from a meaningful and a heartfelt message to someone out there. So, like I said, it is a lesson for every single person. We need to show empathy. We need to show brotherhood. You know, we need to cut slack sometimes. Right? It's not everything we just pick on and start running with. No. Show people mercy, yes, and yes, that's basically what I have to say on this.
All right, thank you so much, Priscilla. I'm sure, really, like you said earlier, that Peter Obi must have actually been shocked. Yes, he was, because he had to also reply that same tweet, trying to explain himself that, please, I do not mean any harm. This is just, you know, a heartfelt congratulatory message to someone who I regard as a brother. And again, you know, someone actually dropped a comment in one of the comments. The person said, this person and alongside Peter Obi actually rode different states same time. So they actually know each other to the point of calling each other a brother. But then Reno, who actually most times likes to push wrong narratives, I just feel like he's pushing on wrong narrative. Yeah. Because he went ahead to attack his political career, Peter Obi's political career. Like you said, the intention matters a lot. If he came with the intention of trying to correct it, oh, you do not address an Oba or an Emir or a king as my dear brother, that's a different thing. You end it there. But going ahead to, you know, attack his political careers, you know, insults and all of that. I thought they said they banned things like this. You do not say things, words like this on social media, or else to be arrested. Anyways, maybe because he's not in Nigeria, he's outside the country, so maybe over there he is a Nigerian. He is a Nigerian. That's why we should never see a Reno contesting for a political position with this behavior. With this, yes, it's becoming too much. Like almost all the time, almost every week, you have to see Reno attacking just one person. And the reason why we have to actually look at it as attack, why I look at it as attack, is because it's just coming at one person. He is coming at just one person. Every day on the headlines on social media, you get to hear that Reno is saying something about Peter Obi. It looks like he can't even sleep or do anything without this man named Peter Obi. Anyways, thank you so much, Priscilla, for your contribution to this topic. I really have a lot to say about this, but this is the only time we have for you know, Social Buzz on Global Morning. Do not worry, Social Buzz Extra comes up by 11:30 again today. I am your host, Ogochukwu Mobno, and please, Global Morning continues, so stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Nigeria at 65, a nation rich in culture, heritage, and resilience. From the banks of the River Niger to the hills of Jos, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the peaceful plains of Sokoto, Nigeria stands tall, united by hope, straightened by diversity. 65 years, the green and white flag rises high, a symbol of freedom, a promise of self-determination, a call to greatness.
Through trials and triumphs, challenges and changes, Nigeria remains unbroken. Her people, bold, brilliant, and brave, continue to rise, innovating, creating, and shaping the future. The journey has been perfect, but it has been powerful.
As we mark 65 years of independence, we remember the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future with hope. Together, we are stronger and united. Happy Independence, Nigeria! This message is brought to you by Global Television.
Many thanks for staying with us on Global Morning today. Now we want to go into the first discussion for today, and we are looking at the federal government, the state government, and of course the local government, how they've been faring. We're working towards the celebration of independence, and that's going to be on Wednesday. As a matter of fact, an assessment of how we've been faring as it has to do with governance is what we're talking about, especially for local government that got what we call autonomy. This is something that they've cried for a very long time. Then we'll also talk about the state. How is the state faring? What are the governors doing? What is the feedback like? Is it better than before, or is it worse? What has been going to the state government? The federal government too will also look at the federal government. You know, whatever happens, the federal government seems to be the father. Whatever happens, even at the grassroots, at the local government council, a lot of people call on the federal government the president. Oh, I'm hungry, the president. Oh, there is no road in my community, the president. Oh, there is no water running in my school, the president, the federal government. Now, we will look at all of that, do an assessment on Global Morning today. My name, of course, I have my guest right here with me this morning. He is a political and public affairs analyst and also a security expert. So we are going to be cutting across most of the areas as far as time can take us this morning in the person of Professor Ibrahim Abubakar. It's good to have you join us on the program this morning, Prof.
Good morning.
Let's get to talk about the 3 tiers of government. This morning, we remember that the basic knowledge has it that these are the tiers of government: the federal government, the state government, and the local government. And there is some form of synchronization in the workings of these 3 tiers of the government. Let's get started, because whatever happens, the heat, everybody believe that the federal government is in charge of almost everything. So today we want to do an assessment as it has to do with governance. And we're starting from the local government. Now, the local government, remember, got an autonomy with this administration. And this is something that a lot of administrations, that is local government administrations, have clamored for. A lot of Nigerians have asked for. Even though there was some form of resistance from some quarters, at the end of the day, the local government has it right now. Now, is it better? What is your assessment of the local government councils in Nigeria after the local government autonomy?
Thank you very much. The issue here is that a lot of us Nigerians are not adequately sensitized, which is supposed to be the duty of the national orientation agencies. After the autonomy, which was a lot of bottlenecks experienced within a long period of time within our democracy for the past 20-something years, autonomy has been granted to the local governments, where finances have been disbursed straight from the federal government purse direct to the local governments. The issue now is that is a rule, but what is the proceedings? What is the regulation? So the local government are supposed to be self-sustaining by now. Of course they are, but the people are not holding the local government executives accountable. So it draws back to the federal. So if you go to the street today, the first name you hear is the name of the president. is either Bola Ahmed Tinubu or Mr. President or nothing else. Forgetting that the amount the local governments are receiving today has never been received all through these years of democracy. And what are they using these allocations for? Nobody. And nobody is holding them accountable. Not even the security agencies are holding them accountable. So you can imagine that the new trade of trade now is the executives of the local government are in the balance, why other people feel that the accusations has to go to the central, which is the federal government. But I will also say that the federal government also allow it, because if they have sensitized the people, they will have known how to hold the local government executives accountable or responsible for their downturn system. These are problems we have to look at, highlight on, because in the local government we still have the works department, which is supposed to be constructing truck C and truck D roads, feeder roads, and the rest. We have the health department, which is supposed to take care of the dispensaries, the health centers, and the rest, to go back to deliver health, an adequate health system to the grassroots. We in the local government we have the agri department, which is supposed to talk of farmers and food security. So we have a lot of things that the local government is supposed to do and deliver services to the grassroots, provisions of other amenities, but these are not done even as they are receiving so much from the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission.
But there is this belief, Nigerians are made to believe that these monies have not been released to all local governments in Nigeria. Do we have local governments that are receiving this money, as it were? Because even Algon cried out sometimes back this year.
Every local government has been receiving these funds from the central. Every local government, no exception. We have 774 local governments in Nigeria. So the 774 local governments receive. It is those ones created, which they are not, like in Lagos, they call them local council development areas. Those are the only ones that are not recognized by the federal body, that don't receive the allocations. So the local council development authorities are only the ones that are not receiving allocation, but the renowned 774 local governments receive allocations adequately.
But Nigerians seems not to be seeing the impact of this money is being received, based on research and complaints that we've gotten from people at the grassroots.
That is the same thing I'm saying, that the people were never sensitized. There are a lot of developmental programs in Nigeria that the people are not aware of. And when you are not aware because you were not adequately informed, you are not sensitized, and that is what most of the time I speak about the legislators, which are the House of Rep and the senators. Their staying in Abuja is doing more harm to governance. They are supposed to be going back to their representatives, going back to their contours, consulting with the people so that they know what the central body is doing. But when you are an Abuja politician, you come here to sit down and go back to seek the vote of the people in the grassroots every 4 years. That is the system we have here. but they will have complemented the National Orientation Agency, complement them in the sense of sensitizing the people. But the way it stands, the National Orientation Agency is not also doing their job, because people are not sensitized, adequately sensitized, and this is a serious issue. And that is where we have this conflicts that the central government is not doing much. But when the people are sensitized, they will know that the central government is actually doing much. Because states that were receiving allocation of maybe 2 billion, 3 billion before are now receiving 10, 15 billion and above. So what have they done with these monies monthly? Local governments has gotten to a point where local governments in this country has received 3 billion, 2 billion, 1 billion.
Just local government?
Yes, 500 million and the rest. What have they done with these monies? Are they accounting to anybody? Or just pocket all, walk away? So these are the things that need to bother us, because the whole thing goes back to the center, and the whole blame goes to the center. So when the center breaks down with the weight of cost from people, and not really going back to the grassroots to tell the local government chairman, to tell the governors. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, states are receiving allocations 5 times more than what they used to get, 5-10 times more than what they used to get. And yet, there's nothing. The roads are getting deplorable every day, because it is only Truck A roads that actually the federal government's responsibilities. So what is happening to the Truck B, Truck C roads in Nigeria? Let's say we have blamed the federal government if the Truck B, Truck C roads and the feeder roads are okay, and the Truck A roads that are responsibilities of the federal government are not okay. But you can go now on and on. You find out that the states are not doing anything to even what is their own responsibilities. The local government are not even doing anything. In fact, the local government, if they care, sometimes they don't come to work for 2 weeks, 1 month.
That's at the local government.
The local government is not under IPPIS. They are not.
So no supervision. Nobody is watching what they are doing there. Why do we have the chairman? Why do we have the DGSA?
You have the chairman because you elected the chairman. But when you elected him, did you tell him his fortune? All they believe is that the allocation coming from the central is for their own use. Off track, I've seen a chairman when the first allocation came to them who went and married 2 wives.
A local government chairman?
Yes, because he has much now to play around with.
So marrying 2 wives. But then we also heard that there are some local governments in Nigeria, okay, that are doing very well, like is it Osun State? Osun State, where when they were marking their 1-year anniversary in office, so some commission road, some commission education, some commission light infrastructure and all of that. Why don't we have that replicated? Because one of the things that we're made to understand was that the account, you need to submit your account okay, verifiable account, all right, to the federal government before this money is being sent. Nigerians felt, well, that is going to be a way to monitor how the spendings is being done. So now, don't you think there should be people to supervise how this money is being spent, or the time has not come for that check and balance?
The issue is this: you are from a local government. Did you know the account submitted by the local government in which these funds are being disbursed to? Has the local government ever given you an audited report? Because you are a stakeholder of what they have spent, what is remaining, and what they have done with the money. When we say the local government are doing nothing to the people, to the grassroots, I'm not saying that it should be the whole 774 local government. Some know the functions of their office. But with what we have on the ground, education as priority, roads as priority, water as priority, movement as priority, health as priorities, food as priority, we have by now be thinking of where some of these amenities becomes free to the people. But up to today, we pay for everything in every part of the country. We pay for everything. People are still trekking on a bush path, not minding whether there are reptiles, there are snakes, there are whatever. They face their dangers alone. We allow our aging parents to go through whatever difficulties they are going through. So, what system has been put in place? What have we drafted to protect these local dwellers? What have we put in place to protect the farmer? Because it's not enough for us to discuss about food security when we are not talking of the farmer security. What have we put in place for the aged who are no longer mobile enough to feed for themselves? These are the things that I think the local government and the states supposed to start thinking of. And nobody is thinking of how do we reprimand these people? How do we contain the excesses? How do they account for what they get? Remember, apart from the allocation that the federal government gives to them, they also generate their own revenue.
Okay, internally generated revenue.
Yes, so these revenues, how do the revenues, are they being used? Because the whole markets, the whole local government belongs, the whole local markets belongs to the local governments. Any revenue generated from the market goes there. The motor parks belongs to the local government. So what they generate and other revenue accesses for the local government, where does it go to?
But whose fault is that? Is it not the federal government that is supposed to supervise, or you just give them money and you walk away? Because at the end of the day, like we got started with, the blame goes to the federal government. People know the federal government now that the governors are not even in tune with the local government autonomy. Don't you think the federal government is supposed to checkmate how much is being given to governors and even the local government's chairman?
We have the office of the Auditor General. But the office of the Auditor General to the Federation is to audit federal accounts. And I think we also have an office of the Akata General and maybe Auditor General in the state, which I don't know. I can't talk about that. But what I'm saying is this. In the pool of government, the movement is the local government. It's the local government that the grassroots knows. Everybody is supposed to know who is the chairman of the local government. In the name of duties, you are supposed to go through the local government from your ward councillor to the chairman of the local government, to the state governor, then to the president. We all can say for a fact that we don't know the president, but we know our local government chairman. We know our councillor. So our channel is supposed to be, if we are talking of governance, we are supposed to look at the councillor, because it's the closest person, supposed to be the closest person to us. Then we now look at the chairman of the local government before we start talking of the state governor. So if the councillor is doing well, the local government chairman is doing well, the governor is doing well, then automatically we will look at the president. And there is no way, if the councillor is doing well, the chairman is doing well, the governor is doing well, that people will not recognize Mr. President.
And if they are doing bad too, then Mr. President will also take the hit.
Yes, that is where it is. That is why I said he's receiving the hit, because this three class has not fulfilled their obligations. In the delegation of duties, this one has not fulfilled its obligation. Politically, this is the political, this is where the political score start from. The councillor to the chairman. The chairman, which is the executive, to the governor. The governor to the president. If we are having an ideal society, my complaint is supposed to go to the councillor, which from my word, because he knows me. Inadequate security, political security system is the councillor, because the councillor should know me. I'm in his ward, so he should know me. Even in a policing network, under neighborhood policing, is the councillor, because he knows everybody. He's supposed to know everybody within his ward. So we move from there to the chairman. So if I have any complaint going to Mr. President, in a due case when we are looking at grassroots mobilization, grassroots policing, I am supposed to start with a councillor who will take my complaint to the chairman. Then from there to the governor, before it comes to the president. But these days, we go straight to the president because we want to be known. So the fact remains that the president can ease himself if only there is a streamlined movement from the councillor to the chairman to the governor down to himself. So in a normal thing, in a normal setting, Mr. President take course in what is supposed to be, what is supposed to be. He take course and cognizance of the rules and the procedures, not bothering himself with most of the things that are not going to bring dividends to the country.
All right.
The economy is in shambles today because this class of people have really not done what they are supposed to do.
Now, like I was saying the other time, in Kwara State, for instance, there is an applause, okay, going for the local government autonomy, and this, according to the report we have, they are doing well. But for Osun State, it's a different ball game. It was just been said, even in the papers this morning, in one of the papers this morning, some of the papers, not even one, it's been said that federal government has paid Osun State local government allocation into APC members' account. Noga is the one that reviewed that. How possible can that be?
I would not want to dispute anything with Noga, because Noga is the umbrella of all the local government chairmen. But will the federal government pay local government funds to APC members who are not executives of that local government? I don't want to dabble into political issues, because the submission you are doing, you are submitting a local government account. So are you saying that the money meant for municipal area council, for example, and municipal area council account will not be submitted, and because someone is an APC member whose name is Yakubu Yaya, you pay into Yakubu Yaya's account, or you pay into APC account in municipal? Because this money is coming straight from the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission, who direct the ministry, the Federal Ministry of Finance, to pay to each. So when it is very easy to allege, but can you defend it? I know all these things could happen because we are getting to 2027 and the rest, because these monies are not just being paid. This is not the first time. The money has been paid for a couple of months now. Let's not say couples of years, but couple of months now. So are they changing the accounts now to pay it into APC's members' account?
Just the way you said it, I think it's sounding political somehow, because I was even, while we're talking, during the newspaper review, we also talked about it. And of course, APC have said, well, tell us the account that this money was paid into. Then the problem is that in the midst of all, probably with all this story, somebody may give excuse and said, I didn't get allocation for this month, and that's the reason A project or B project was not being done. And even in Adamawa State, we heard of how training was being done for, I think it was, somebody sent that to me. I saw that picture of some women going for training, and it was tagged that they are local government chairmen's wives going for training. Is that not mismanagement of funds?
It is very funny, because I ran into that story too, and I tried to peruse the story and said, what is the function of local government wives going for foreign training, not just training in internal training, foreign training? Is it an empowerment system? Are they elected members? Are they executives of the local government, or what? So, but I came to recognize something. If you watch everywhere now, in Abuja and outside Abuja, the only thing you see, every civic center, every hotel, everywhere is occupied with training. And I have looked at it as the only new method to embezzle our money. Because you see somebody setting up a 2-week training, and that 2-week training just take 24, 48 hours. And they give people certificate for 2 weeks and give their CPET to go back home. Logically, it's a new trend, and I don't know what the security bodies are doing about this, because this is the new system. So I'm surprised that local government chairmen's wives are now going for foreign training. Not even the local government chairman, but their wives are now going for foreign training. So I don't know what part is the woman playing.
So as we round up now, are you for or against the local government autonomy?
No, local government autonomy would have been the best thing for the society.
Would have been, but it's not.
Yes, it won't be, because I said the people were not first of all sensitized.
The local government chairman or the,
it's just like now a governor will sit down in his office and wrote a gazette to say the so community should have a king without consulting the community. When you did not consult the community, why must you have a gazette? Because the community has to agree to say we need a king. You understand me? You cannot just impose a king on them because they have a traditional value system. So you follow that traditional value system. So no governor, nobody of the State House of Assembly or so, or even the office of the Chief Tertiary Affair, and that is why we have a lot of this. So it is just the same thing we are talking of, these local government allocations. It's the best, but you also have to sensitize the people that you have to hold on to this local government chairman.
All right. Well, our time is up. This is where we'll peg it. But now, finally, before we go, what would you have to say to the people at the local government and Nigerians in just maybe 1 minute?
Well, the local government people, the people in the local government and the state should also know that these funds disbursed from the center is for their own use and their own good and development, and they have every right to ask for accountability, and it must follow a transparency process. And if it's not following that, then we are not then it is not a game. They should give account and rather account for every penny that is spent or mobilized to the states and the local governments. It is a duty. And to cram it all, I want to also, one of our great-grandmother that will just pass on at the age of 110. I think the people have to recognize this mother, because it's somebody that has taken and trained over 1,000 Nigerians at her own capacity. So if she has gone, we should also recognize that Mama Apple Adam, who was just buried last weekend, this last weekend, has done more for the nation. She didn't look at her tribe. She didn't look at her ethnicity. She didn't look at anybody to bring up about 1,000 Nigerians. I appreciate her, because it's one of the people that has actually mirrored my mind, that makes me to have a drive to also train. I have about 2,700 graduates in Nigeria today. And I copied that from her. So
that you trained?
Yes, with my own. I'm not talking of train as a teacher, but also train from my pocket.
Oh, 2,700?
Yes, over 2,700 today.
Wow.
I copied it actually from Mama Aipo Adam, who who we lost at the age of 110.
That's
and I would say the family should also take it as one of the things that has to happen. She is a great grandmother, and she has paid her dues.
All right. May her soul rest in perfect peace, and of course, right to the grassroots, to the local government. Instead of just waiting for the local government all the time, you can also play your own part by contributing to the growth of the local government by training one person, either in vocational studies or maybe skill acquisition. Many thanks for joining us on the program this morning, Prof.
Thank you very much.
This is the size of the first discussion. The second discussion comes up immediately with Priscilla Obasi. Stay with us.
Nigeria at 65, a nation rich in culture, heritage, and resilience. From the banks of River Niger to the hills of Jos, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the peaceful plains of Sokoto, Nigeria stands tall, united by hope, straightened by diversity. 65 years, the green and white flag rises high, a symbol of freedom, a promise of self-determination, a call to greatness.
Through trials and triumphs, challenges and changes, Nigeria remains unbroken. Her people, bold, brilliant, and brave, continue to rise, innovating, creating, and shaping the future. The journey has been perfect, but it has been powerful.
As we mark 65 years of independence, we remember the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future with hope. Together, we are stronger and united. Happy Independence, Nigeria! This message is brought to you by Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, welcome back to the conversation. Today, on this very segment, we're going to be discussing the subject that has become almost a household conversation in Nigeria, and that is mass migration, popularly called Japa. Now, every day, thousands of our young people, professionals, and even entire families are leaving for other countries in search of greener pastures. But this trend comes with a serious question. And the question is, are we losing too much talent as a nation? Are we gaining something in return? And what role can education and international relations play in shaping the future of migration? To help us on this very topic, to help us unpack it, I have with me an education consultant, and he's also an international relations analyst. He brings a unique perspective to this very important conversation. You will get to meet my guest just after this break. Please stay with us. All right, I have with me Philip Osita Ekene. Like I said, he is an education consultant and an international relations analyst. He's here to help us unpack the conversation. Are you there? Good morning, Philip, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show this morning.
Thank you for being here. So we're talking about mass migration, the cost and the benefits of seeking greener pastures. Now, I'll start with this very question from your perspective as an education consultant and also an international relations analyst. Why is migration, especially in student migration, on the rise in Nigeria?
One of the things that we have to understand is that every human being wants a better life. Everyone wants something better than what he or she has. And that is what makes the average Nigerian or the average individual to want to go to seek better education abroad. And because of the society where we are, there is so much emphasis on paper qualification as against the knowledge and the skill. And it is believed that when you go to school abroad, you get that paper qualification, which is much more recognized in most institutions in Nigeria. Even government institutions, they recognize that foreign paper qualification more than the Nigerian one. So people want to get that qualification, and so they seek not just the knowledge but that paper that gives them a better opportunity than their average Nigerian citizens that attend Nigerian schools.
Okay, thank you for that. Beyond economic hardship, how much do a poor, I don't want to say because I mean it's not a good thing to say, so how much do poor educational systems contribute to the Japa syndrome?
How much you mean? Or
yes, that is, having a poor educational system, is it really the cause, or is there something deeper than that?
Of course, it transcends beyond just the educational system. It is an entire system, the entire makeup of Nigeria. So it's not just the educational system. The entire makeup of Nigeria is what leads to that mass movement, mass migration of Nigerians, which we call Japa. It's a government thing. It's as a result of not just the educational system, but the quality of life, the assurances that you have, that security assurances, being able to work, and then you're sure that what you're working will be able to take care of you at least for the immediate needs. and all of that.
So don't you think education is like the bedrock of every other sector? For example, if we have a good educational structure, we'll have good jobs, we'll have better critical thinkers, we'll have employers and not just people that, you know, sit and wait to be employed. We'll have creators indeed, we'll have good entrepreneurs if we have a good education system. So I feel like every other kind of sector, you know, kind of hinges on the excellence of our educational system. And I don't know if you have such perspective too.
Very vital perspective. But the truth is, like I said, it's not, even if the education system is working, if the other sectors are not working, then you still won't get the results. Because for the system to work, you need not just the educational sector to work, you need the political structures to work, you need the government institutions to work, you need all the government agencies to be able to operate independently without the interference of the government of the day. So if you look at it, like I said, if the education system is working, who are the people that make the policies, other aspects of the economy that affect, you know, the average Nigerian? So those sectors also need to work. For example, the health sector. If the educational sector is working and the health sector is not working, and people want to be sure that, I mean, when I have issues in my health, I'll be taken care of, I'll be given, you know, that opportunity to live. So it's beyond just education. So every sector needs to work. If one sector is not working, it's going to affect every other sector. So if all these sectors are working and then the security apparatus in Nigeria is not functioning, then obviously people want to be sure that their lives are safe. They can go to their bed, they can sleep at night, they can walk on the road, they can drive their vehicles, you know, without, you know, having fear or being disturbed.
Okay, as an international relations analyst, would you say the global demand for skilled workers is also fueling this trend?
Yes, it is. But
do you think, I put it this way, do you think we value skilled workers as much as, you know, it is being valued in other parts of the world?
Yes, of course we do. Of course we do, because there is nothing, there is no skill that is being shipped abroad or used abroad that is also not needed or used here in Nigeria. So, but the only thing is, how much are they paying for these skills? How much are these skills worth? What's the value? Exactly. What's the value of these skills here, and what's the value of these skills there? Now, you would also look at, apart from the value, you would also look, like I mentioned, there are several other factors. The truth is, I have friends, I have people who have left Nigeria, you know, to seek greener pastures abroad. So yes, their skills are being valued and then they are getting the returns, but they tell you that there are other aspects of their lives that are being affected. If they had options, you know, some say things like, if I could even earn half of what I'm earning here in UK, in US and Canada, I will come back home. So you see, it's not just the value. Yes, the value is there, but there are other aspects of their lives also that are being affected while they are there. So most of them go there for the value, the money that they are going to get, and also for the quality of life. So you're sure that when you have health issues or health challenges, when you call emergency, someone is going to respond and someone is going to answer.
Okay. In exchange for our brightest students, our doctors, our teachers, our engineers that leave the other country, what do you think Nigeria loses?
In almost everything, there is cost and benefit. So, of course, yes, there are benefits to Nigeria, but the truth is, I think that the cost far outweighs the benefits.
What are the benefits?
The benefits, of course, there are remittances that come into Nigeria. remittances that are coming to Nigeria from our brothers and our sisters who are over there. And as at the year 2022, if I'm correct, statistics shows that the remittances was higher than FDI that came into Nigeria. So of course there are benefits that comes from it as well. But like I said, the cost far outweighs the benefits. So, but the benefits are apart from the individual benefits that the people who go there get. Of course, Nigeria gets the benefit. If you look through, I don't have the statistics anyway. I don't have statistics on my head, but you hardly go through any country and you find, let's say, the first or the best 10 students in excelling in different fields that you won't find a Nigerian there. I mean, it's a thing of pride that you hear that, oh, this is a Nigerian, and then so I mean, it's a thing of pride. But like I said, the cost far outweighs the benefits, because the best of us keeps leaving the country, and then they keep helping to develop the already developed country. They keep helping to make the things better in the country, and then it's for people that are back home in Nigeria. The system keeps depreciating. Everything keeps depreciating in a way, and then it seems like there's no improvement, because these are the people that are supposed to come here and then put these things in place, and with what they are supposed to do, they will now even drive the FDI, because their businesses, those Silicon Valley businesses, can also be replicated here in Nigeria, that will also drive people from all over the world into Nigeria. If you come to the health sector, why not? Because we have the best, we have one of the best doctors all over the world. So if they come to Nigeria and then they're able to put all of these things with the right system working, you will have people coming to Nigeria for medical tourism as well, just like the way Nigerians and our leaders go over there for medical tourism. And these are things that will also bring, benefits to the country. So, like I said, seriously, the cost outweighs the benefits. The cost far outweighs the benefits, because it doesn't seem like there will be much progress made, because the people that are supposed to drive, this new Nigeria, the Nigeria that we all dream and hope and wish for, they are not here. They are not here. They are all, taking their things and then leaving the country to go and help to put those other countries together and make them better than they already are.
Okay, as an analyst, rather, I believe you would have some recommendations for those that are already finding themselves in these other parts of the world. Most of the times when they go over there, there's usually culture shock. Sometimes they find it difficult, raising their kids because of the difference, the disparity between what they already know, what they have grown up with, what they know for life, and what they now get to see, the realities of their current situation. In such a situation, what advice would you usually have for such persons, especially in the area of education? Our curriculum out there, the curriculum out there rather, is different from what we have here. So how do you actually advise them to strike the balance?
It's not a one size fits all. It's not a one size fits all. I'll use myself for an example. Sorry, let me just use myself for an example. So when people ask me, why don't you, why haven't you, I tell them, I said, see, there's nothing wrong with going out there, but the thing is, when you go out there, what's the mindset? Do you go out there to remain there, or do you go out there to learn, to acquire, and then come back to develop Nigeria? So that's what I would say to them. So when they go out there, learn all that you can. Of course, look at how the system, look at how everything works, and then come back to Nigeria, and then let's begin to make demand, because Nigeria won't work unless we make it work. So that's what I would say to them. So whatever you're doing out there, yes, it's good to get all the recognition, get all the experiences, and then of course get all the wealth that you can acquire as much as possible. But come back home, and then let's help to put this country together.
And don't you think going out there, getting all the experiences somehow would affect you in the long run coming back home to implement it, especially for someone that is raising a family. Now, in that very context, you have kids going to school. I know a couple that had to relocate from, what country is that? I have forgotten. Austria, yes, that's it. It's Austria. They had to relocate from Austria back to Nigeria, and basically it was because of their kids. They were in a country where, you know, it wasn't, I don't think Austria is an English-speaking country. So it kind of affected their kids, you know. Coming back to Nigeria, she has a 7-year-old in primary, no, not a 9-year-old in primary 1, and I think a 13-year-old in JS1 or so, or primary 6 or so. And definitely you see that there is a setback in their educational calendar, right? Sometimes parents struggle with kids abroad, struggle with the curriculum, you know, struggle with the training, instilling the right values and all of that in them. And in such situations, dealing with such parents, what is usually your advice to them?
So the advice when they have returned, or while they are there? No,
while they are still there. For those that don't even have the option of coming back, they have not made all the money they want to make yet. Because when you see them coming back like this, it is most times as a result of the fact that they have acquired some level of wealth and they feel, okay, I have what it takes to live in Nigeria. But some of those parents, or most of them, you know, haven't really gotten to that milestone yet, and they feel like it's best I just keep staying here. But at the same time, they find they struggle with their kids and struggle, you know, taking them through school and, you know, instilling right values. Like I said, what's usually your advice in such situations?
Excuse me. So what I would say is, like I usually tell most of my parents that are abroad and the ones really from Nigeria to the US, UK, and Canada, and other countries, it actually starts from the foundation. So, but let's leave there because, like you said, they're already there. Now, it's a conscious effort, it's a sacrifice that every parent will have to make if they want to see their children turn out well. Now, because most people just, you know, pack up, and then get into a country without doing a proper research in terms of the system that they are going into, how does the educational system work, and how is this going to affect my children. These are the things that parents don't even look at, you know. But anyway, so they are there, and then they experience this thing. It's something, like I said, it's a conscious effort. You need to sit down and then look at the system that you are in, and then look at where you are coming from, and also now look at where you want your children to be, your intention, what's the future, what are you looking at. And you need to, as a matter of fact, seek what? Help. That's the truth. So help in what sense? Help in the sense that, okay, now I have their system, now I know our own system, I know the system that I want my children to come up with. And then you get an educational consultant if possible, and then they'll be able to help you to blend or help you to synthesize what the system there is giving to you and the system that you want, and then be able to help you to, you know, get your children in the line that you want them to be. And also, the parents need to be involved. Like I said, in this dispensation, every parent should be what? You need to be a conscious parent. A conscious parent. What our parents did back then, you can't afford to do that with your children, with your kids these days. So you need to be involved in what they are doing, and then you need to do your own work in the house. You need to constantly talk to your children, communicate with them. You need to find out what they are doing, what they are not doing, how they are learning their experiences, and then find a way to help them to navigate that process.
Okay, thank you for that. Aside the fact that, or aside the advantage of having to send money back to Nigeria if you're abroad, what other advantage do I call them immigrants or emigrants? What other advantage do they have as, you know, people staying in another country or exploring other parts of the world? Going to stay in another man's country, does it have any advantage whatsoever, aside the fact that you get to send money home, you know, from time to time?
Yes, of course it does. So, of course, we mentioned that there is an enhanced economic opportunity. So what it means is that what you're valued, or your value, you get your values worth for your skill or for your qualification. That's one of the advantage. And of course, there's also an avenue for career advancement. So the opportunities for you to grow in your career, learn from the best and stuff like that. And of course, there is also improved quality of life. Like I mentioned, if one has health issues or health challenge, you're likely to get, of course, better health services over there than you would here. That's the truth. So here, you would require, tons of money. You can't really depend on the government hospitals here in Nigeria. But of course, there, you're sure of that improved quality of life. There's safety and security. These are things that we are not really guaranteed here in Nigeria. But over there, you're sure of these things. You're sure you can walk, in certain areas, and then you're not thinking that you're going to be attacked. You can travel on the road. You can't really say that. We can't really say that for Nigeria. That's why most of our politicians and people who are in government, they don't take the roads. How many government officials will take the road from let's say from Abuja to his or her constituency? They don't do that. They fly. So these are things that the beneficiaries improve quality of life. There's personal education and of course the development that comes with it. They have exposure, they have better exposure, and then there's networking. There you know how when you walk, you're sure that when you walk, you'll be promoted when due. You get what is due to you without having to do eye service, without having to have a godfather or be loyal to someone. And in Nigeria, someone will be due for promotion and increment, and the person wouldn't get it because he or she is not loyal to the leader and all. These are things that the people get, and so there's a lot of benefit from the money that they send and the money that they get to make. Of course, the currencies there are way higher than the currency of the home country. So these are all the benefits that they get.
Okay, there are times that I come on the internet and I see videos of people crying, lamenting, and just being sort of emotional about the state in which they are, the country in which they are. Sometimes they complain of being lonely, being depressed, and all of this stuff. Where do you think all of this stems from? And what would you advise those that go to countries where they don't really have family, friends, and they have to cope?
So the truth is, there is price for everything. There is price for everything. So that's the price that they are paying. That's the price that they pay. So because you come from a culture where we are family oriented, you have amazing support system. You can easily call on your mom, brother, sister, and then they'll come running to you. But over there, they live an individual life, so it's something that is bound to happen. So, but if you're going there, or if you're already there, you have to consciously, because it's something that you do consciously, build networks. Now you can build networks virtually. It doesn't have to be the people that you see. If you don't have good neighbors, but the thing is, first you have to make yourself friendly. In order for you to get friends, you have to make yourself friendly. So if it's a different thing that you make an effort and then you don't get that in return, but I'm sure if you do that between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 persons, you find people that would relate with you easily. But it is expected. It is expected because our culture is different from the culture that they find abroad. Once you leave Nigeria, once you leave Africa, you will find an entirely different culture. So the things that you're used to, the things you take for granted here, when you get there, you don't find them. So it's something that you have to consciously work on, because you need your sanity to work, to earn, and then of course for the people that are back home that are rooting for you.
Waiting for you indeed. Okay, so there are times where you see people, you hear news of people, slumming during work hours due to the fact that they are overly stressed. And sometimes there are people that also believe that there are health benefits going abroad, being that you can walk into medical facilities, you can be attended to. Their emergency service, like you mentioned earlier, is quite responsive and all of that. Weighing the good side and the bad side, health hazards, because most times people are meant to work for hours, just to keep up with their bills, be able to pay their bills and send money back home, because there are people that actually travel with lots of debt, they stay there paying debts over time until they are able to finish. So weighing the good side and the bad side and the health benefits, like I said when I started this question, there are people that you hear of that they just slum due to stress from work. Weighing that good side, and also you have a system where you have to walk, exercise, go to work, and transportation, everything is quite easy. If you want to weigh it, do you think the good side outweighs the bad? Is it okay? What's your take on that?
Yes, I would say that the good side outweighs the bad side. Yes, it is. I think, and then that good side comes over time. But of course, at that initial point when they relocate and when they try to settle and then try to get into the system, it's not easy, it's difficult. But in the long run, I think that the good side far outweighs the bad side. The benefit far outweighs the cost for the individual. For the individual, yes, it far outweighs, because over time, the number one reason why people go, apart from the value of life, is the money, the economic value. So when they're able to, so over time, when they work and then they're able to get into the system, settle down, they're able to put up monies together. That when they come into Nigeria, when they send these monies to Nigeria, that money is able to do a lot of things for not just themselves, but for their families and their extended families as well. So in the long run, I think it far outweighs the cost to them, to the individuals.
Is this even a healthy thing to put yourself in such a situation where you have to work your life to take care of extended family? Is it something that is even encouraged in the first place?
A philosopher once said, "Man, know thyself." So what this means is that as an individual, you need to know yourself, know the extent of what you can take and how much you can do. Yes, of a truth, some people work 2-3 jobs in order to meet up, and sometimes at the detriment of their health. So I wouldn't advise that, like I said. So you need to know yourself and know the extent of what you can take and what you can do. Because if you're not healthy, or if you break down at the end of the day, or you have something that affects your life, a terminal illness or something that comes up along the line, you won't be able to do that work. You'll be able to earn, and then all the plans and everything that you have, of course, will probably crumble. So the basic thing is, for you to know yourself, know your extent, and walk along that line. And of course, when you do that, sometimes you take breaks and recuperate, replenish yourself, rejuvenate, and then get back there. So that's what I would say. Just know yourself and then know the limits.
From onset, you cannot know that you don't have the capacity to juggle 2, 3, 4 jobs with family, and then you collect some kind of loan, or make them invest in you with the hope of reaping from you tomorrow, and then you go there and start complaining. So it's best not to even attempt it in the first place. And for the family members that have such a situation, I think it's important for you to know the capacity of the person you're investing in. You need to know the capacity of such a person. You cannot invest in someone that does not have physical energy and expect that they go out there, work their lives out, and send to you. That would mean you eventually losing your investment, because something might happen to them eventually. They might fall down, they might slump, they might even give up at the end of the day, and what would become of your return of investment. So before you build a house, like they say, it's important to count the cost. Before we leave, I want to leave you with this question. What advice would you give to that young Nigerian who is faced, weighing between staying, investing in myself in Nigeria and Japan?
It is a 50-50 because there are people that have stayed back in Nigeria, just like you said, and then they've been able to build something for themselves out of what they can find. I've had people tell me that if they knew the monies that they put together to travel, for themselves and their families, that they would have just used it to start up a business, and then, of course, with the hope that, of course, the business is going to prosper. So like I said, it's a 50-50. So for that person that is going, or that wants to japa, that wants to leave, what is behind his mind or her mind? What's the mindset? What's the mindset that the person is going? The person going because, there are no jobs in Nigeria, I just want to go, and then it's better off out there than it is here. Then, of course, the person might be setting himself up for failure. So what I tell people now is, when you want to go, you need to sit down and count the cost. You need to sit down and count the cost. So you won't, I do advise people to leave Nigeria and then you're not sure of the job. Apart from being sure of the job, you don't have the skills. You don't have the skill that would get you the kind of job that you want. So what happens is that most of them now end up going there and then they end up doing menial jobs. These are some of the people that you're talking about that, encounter some of these health hazards and health issues, at the end of the day. So the thing is, always sit down and count the cost. So I wouldn't say go or don't go, but just sit down and count the cost, and what's the reason that you're going. If you're not able to define that reason and then define what you're going to do there in order to achieve that reason that you're going for, then I'll just tell you to just sit back here and then figure it out here in Nigeria, because there are people that are here, young people, young entrepreneurs who have been able to build something for themselves and by themselves, and then they're excelling and they're exporting their services and then their knowledge abroad as well. So, and earning in that same foreign currency. So it depends. But
all right, thank you very much for that insight. I think this is how much we can take for this segment of the show. It's been a pleasure having you on Global Morning. I'm sure we'll call you again for further conversation or further discussion on this very topic, because it's inexhaustible. As long as it's still here, we'll keep discussing it until we conquer. Yeah, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So Global Morning will wrap up just in a bit. Please stay with us.
Nigeria at 65, a nation rich in culture, heritage, and resilience. From the banks of the River Niger to the hills of Jos, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the peaceful plains of Sokoto, Nigeria stands tall, united by hope, straightened by diversity. 65 years, the green and white flag rises high, a symbol of freedom, a promise of self-determination, a call to greatness.
Through trials and triumphs, challenges and changes, Nigeria remains unbroken. Her people, bold, brilliant, and brave, continue to rise, innovating, creating, and shaping the future. The journey has been perfect, but it has been powerful.
As we mark 65 years of independence, we remember the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future with hope. Together, we are stronger and united. Happy Independence, Nigeria! This message is brought to you by Global Television.
Well, as it is, you can't really stop people from migrating. But then, what are the reasons for migrating? What are you going out there to hold on to? Are you living because everybody is living? This is the size of Global Morning today. This to let you know that all the views of our guests is their own view and not that of Global Television, including the headlines from the national dailies. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo.
And my name is Priscilla Obasi. It has been an interesting time here on Global Morning. And this is to let you know that Global Television has lots of interesting programs lined up for you for the day. So do well to catch up on our programs. Until we come your way again tomorrow, it's bye for now.